My man is here, Dimitri Lascaris.
Hey,
He's
how you
rock-
doing, Jabal?
I'm doing fine. He's rocking out in the background. That's okay. How you doing, man? You doing all right?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, I'm outside because my the internet connection, my house up on the mountain is absolute crap today, so I had to
With
come
the house
outside.
up in the mountains. Fair enough. Are you? By the way, are you still in Greece, or have you gotten back
I am.
to? Okay,
No,
you're
I'll
still
be,
there.
I'll
Okay.
be I'll be here for another month, and then I'm going to be in China for 3 weeks.
Are you?
Hey, maybe I'll cross paths with some of our mutual friends. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then I'll be back in Montreal in mid-November.
Oh, that's so cool. That's a hell of a trip. Oh, that's a hell of a trip. Dimitri Lascaris, he's a lawyer, journalist, activist from Montreal, Quebec, 2020. Dimitri ran for the leadership of the Green Party. He hosts currently Reason to Resist on YouTube. Definitely check him out. Um, wow, that's a hell of a trip, Dimitri. I wish you well on that. That should be a lot of fun.
Thank you, thank you.
Um, I want to hit the UN. I want to hit the UN, not Trump. I want to specifically hit that we beat that into the ground. This meeting that took place on the sidelines. So Erdogan says Trump meeting with Arab Muslim leaders on Gaza was fruitful. And of course, this is Donald Trump right here. No details, however, have been published on the meeting, attended by leaders from Egypt, Indonesia, Jordan, Pakistan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and UAE. This was what was reported out of Axios was that the Trump administration, for all intents and purposes, wanted to hand off the war to these states, and they wanted to allow Israel to effectively withdraw. Doesn't that mean, by definition, though, that Israel didn't accomplish its objectives? I mean, for all intents and purposes, why do you need to hand this off to anybody if Israel was able to do their ethnic cleansing and get the people out in the way that they wanted to get those people out, be it through killing or just pushing them into another country? Give me your thoughts on that.
Well, I totally agree with your assessment. Before I tell you why, I mean, I don't believe this narrative at all. I think
Oh,
this
go
is
for it.
this is complete crap. The United States, as I've said many times, it is America's attack dog in the Middle East. This Israeli genocidal entity.
Yes.
I'm not the only person who says this. I think you're probably of that school, Jamal.
No, I
Uh,
agree with you.
yeah, and so too does Lawrence Wilkerson, who was a chief of staff under Colin Powell, and there are others who
Mhm.
have come to that conclusion. And so I don't think Trump is trying to hand this off to anybody. I think Trump is driving the bus. And
Yeah.
this is just another chapter in the endless kabuki theater in which the United States tries to distance itself from the crimes of its insane Israeli attack dog. But everything that Israel does, at least if it's of sort of strategic importance, is being driven by Washington. And that was not just it's not just true of Trump, it was true of Biden, it was true of Obama, and on and on and on. So let me just dispense with that for a moment. But yeah, if Israel is to withdraw on any terms other than the complete destruction of Hamas, the disarmament of Hamas, and frankly, the removal of the Palestinian people from Gaza, and the reinstitution of Israeli settlements in Gaza, that would be a strategic defeat because that has been the stated goal of Israel from the very beginning. Israel has been saying from the very beginning, we not only want to defeat Hamas, we want the Palestinians out. We want to take it over. We want to move our people in. We want this to be part of Israel. We also want the West Bank to be part of Israel. Any outcome that departs from that leaves the Palestinians in place, that leaves Hamas as a viable political or military force or both, is a strategic defeat for Israel.
Agreed. 1,000% I agree with everything that you just said. The idea that a country of 8 million is dictating terms to a country of 300 million is nonsense, right? We give their weapons, political support, money, et cetera, et cetera. This is not. I think what people miss sometimes is that it is policy for the U.S. to create this notion of, oh my God, Israel has gone rogue. And when you see like Donald Trump is complaining loudly behind the scenes, nonsense. Like all of this stuff is to give this impression that Israel is doing something that the United States is entirely unaware of what Israel is. I agree with you 1,000%. On this one, Trump himself apparently went to meet with these leaders. He wanted this meeting. And he wanted to do, I suppose, two things. One, to say, hey, Qatar and these other countries, don't worry about the greater Israel thing. I know they're saying they're going to attack you, but hey, it's okay. Don't worry about that. Okay, if those countries believe that, they're idiots. Two, Israel seems to be exhausted at this point. I mean, they've been fighting a war for several years. Netanyahu has even made speeches where he's like, we're going to build our own weapons and all this other stuff. Is it possible that with the world's condemnation taking place with all of these countries that ostensibly support Israel through and through, but feel like they need to kind of take this opposition position because of their populations, and with a busted military at this point that has been fighting in Gaza for nearly 3 years, that Trump is trying to offload this. He is trying to find somewhere else to park this. Hey, who can I get to rebuild this? Who can I get to take over the military operations inside Gaza? Because that's what he's talking about. He wants these countries to put in their military in order to take the place of Israel. That's what it sounds like anyway. But give me your thoughts on that. You think this is nonsense, that this is really not the plan or the policy that Trump is running with?
It's hard to say, Jamal. There will come a point at which the reality will eventually catch up with Trump, and it will eventually catch up with Netanyahu. And it would, just as it will eventually catch up with Zelensky. The question is, are we at that point yet?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't think so, but I can't exclude that possibility. It is possible. And we also need to remember that although there is a high degree of consensus within the Israeli political elite about exterminating the Palestinian people, at the same time, there is some diversity of opinion on how to go about this and whether the goal is even achievable. I think there's a high degree of consensus that the goal is achievable, but there are smarter people, more knowledgeable, sane people, not just within Israel, but also in the larger Zionist community. I'm going to name one who comes from Canada, Erwin Kotler, former justice minister. He and hundreds of other, arch-Zionists recently signed a letter which was openly and harshly critical of the Netanyahu regime, not because they care about Palestinians or human rights, but because they have a certain sense, they're more in contact with reality than the ultimate leaders of Israel. And so Trump might have reached at that point. But the acid test will always be this. It's the same acid test that applies in Ukraine. Are you going to continue to arm the genocidal entity? If you are going to continue to arm the genocidal entity, I don't believe your rhetoric. And in Ukraine, if you're going to continue to arm Zelensky, I don't believe that you want to end this war. And he has continued. And saying to the Europeans, you send the weapons, but you're going to foot the bill. It's the same thing as the United States arming it. It's just the United States offloading the financial burden. But so that's the acid test. And I just don't see that yet. When Trump begins to actually openly or covertly, but we know it's happening, threaten Israel with the withdrawal of military support, then I will become open to this possibility that reality is caught up with Donald Trump.
Yeah, never going to happen. I don't believe that's going to happen. So I can't foresee that situation taking place. And, a lot of people, what Israel says in, let's say, English is different than what they say in their own language, in Hebrew. And I want to show you this. This is the way they talk openly on their own airways. Like, no filter, no nothing else. They are not hiding the ball. I wanted this to be interpreted. Okay. Basically, what she is saying here, if I can close this, what she's saying here is, we'll make Gaza uninhabitable until the population leaves. We'll do the same in the West Bank. I think what she misses is that you've had 2.5 years, your country with nukes. You have billions of dollars in financial backing, not just from the United States, but from all of the European nations. Why haven't you been able to do this? That's the part that they seem to miss. That when they talk about Hamas, they are back to the same level that they were at invasion. So it's like you're still dealing with the same number of people who are still resisting you as you get weaker and weaker. And at some point, I guess on some level, have reached some level of limitations. She doesn't seem to get that, though. And I don't think Netanyahu does either. Give me a take on that. I mean, is this a failure in action? Meaning, are we watching a slow-moving failure take place where the Israeli government, Netanyahu, hasn't necessarily grasped the limitations of the Israeli military?
Well, this failure became apparent quite some time ago. It was glaringly apparent when they attacked Iran. I mean, that was what drug were they
Yes.
smoking, Jamal? I mean, come on,
Yes.
seriously. After all the beatings they've taken and the weakening, the depletion of their weapon stocks, they had already expended, for example, a large proportion of their air defense missiles in the war against Hezbollah. And they decided to take on the big dog, Iran. I mean, these people are completely the ones who are at the apex of the decision-making structure within Israel are divorced from reality. But there are
Yeah.
people that are close to the apex. It seems the head of the military, for example, who are much more in touch with reality than Netanyahu. And the problem that those people have is that the political and constitutional structure of Israel is such that, as I understand it, the prime minister has the final say on military matters. And so they're gonna have a come to Jesus moment where they're gonna have to decide: are we going to continue to respect the Constitution, even though doing so is going to result in the destruction of our country? And I think that moment will come.
Yeah, I think what people miss is that there's a difference between killing people and winning a war. Like the United States was able to kill 4 million Vietnamese and still lost the war. And so you may have a prolific air force that can murder babies, murder women and children in tents, shoot people who are starving. That's not the same thing as winning your objectives to the conflict. You've stated what your objectives are. Do you accomplish these objectives or not? Murdering people is not the same thing as accomplishing objectives. I'm curious on your take on all of these countries that have come out. I think it was like France, the UK, I think the Netherlands. There were several that effectively came out saying we're looking for a two-state solution. Where do you put this?
Let me add Canada, the country, one of the countries in which I am a citizen.
Yeah.
Yes, Australia and Portugal.
And Portugal.
I have nothing but scorn and contempt to heap upon the governments that have recognized Palestine now. Where do I even begin? Why did they wait 2 years into this genocidal horror show to do this? Why didn't they do it before the genocide began? Before the genocide began, a vast majority of states representing the vast majority of the human population had already recognized Palestine, but they refused, even as they were yapping their gums about their support for the two-state delusion. And this is the part that I think is most appalling, is that they have not coupled their recognition of the state of Palestine with any concrete action to stop the genocide. I guarantee you that not one Palestinian life is going to be saved by what they have done. Not one. What will save Palestinian lives, which would be their highest priority if they cared about human rights, international law, and a Palestinian state, would be the cutoff of weapons to Israel immediately, completely, plus an end to the enrichment of Israel's military-industrial complex, which means not only that you don't send weapons to Israel, but you don't buy weapons from Israel. Then you have to also impose crushing economic sanctions, and Israel is extremely vulnerable to those economic sanctions. Sure, continue to send them humanitarian supplies, things like medicines, essential foods. I would never suggest that any population should be cut off from that, not even Israel. But there are plenty of things that are dual-use items. There are plenty of companies that are being enriched by this genocide and by the apartheid system who should be completely severed from economic relations with the West. When they do that, and only when they do that, should we take seriously their recognition of the Palestinian state. Because they haven't done that, I think this is doing more harm than good. And the reason it's doing more harm than good is because it is causing people in the West who want to see their governments act, not all of them, some of them, to be deceived into thinking that their governments have taken meaningful action, which means that they will stop applying pressure or they will reduce the pressure that they are applying on their governments to take meaningful action. That's what this is all about. It's a pressure release valve. That's how you should view it. This is a way in which they relieve the pressure on them to actually take meaningful action. I challenge anybody to explain to me how this is going to save a single Palestinian life. Go read the Israeli media, how they're reacting to this. There was an article in the Times of Israel yesterday which called this a hollow measure.
Yeah.
Go listen to the Israeli political elite, how they're reacting to this. They're basically telling us they're going to become even more vicious. They're going to respond by annexing the West Bank or parts of it. Yeah. They're going to kill more people. So come on. You're going to tell me this is going to save Palestinian lives?
No, I agree with you. I mean, they've waited for what, 2 years, watching people get murdered, watching babies get killed, watching people get raped, with the majority of the Israeli public saying they should have the ability to rape Palestinians. And they now come around after their public gets very angry and say, okay, we believe in a two-state solution, which is a dog and pony show. Why do you say the two-state solution is a dog and pony show? I'll let you explain it.
Well, how can you have a Palestinian state when the two parts that have been reserved for a Palestinian state have either been completely demolished and
Yes.
rendered unlivable, or have been infiltrated by so many illegal Israeli settlers who are heavily armed and who are fanatical that there's no practical way of removing them without causing a civil war? How are you going to do that? Now, maybe there's a way.
Yeah.
Maybe people, listen, you can solve a lot of things with money, and maybe there's some gigantic pile of money that they're going to put into this, and they're going to, rebuild Gaza, and they're going to incent these settlers to leave despite their fanaticism. Show me the plan. If you have a plan for creating a Palestinian state along the 1967 borders, one that is realizable, I'm happy to take it into consideration. Nobody has put forward any kind of a plan. As things currently stand, it is impossible to build a viable sovereign Palestinian state along the 1967 borders. So the only practical solution, and by the way, the polls show that a majority of Palestinians are against the two-state solution, or delusion, which is what we should be calling it.
Yeah.
So the real option, ultimately, I'll respect whatever decision the Palestinians make. That's our obligation as their allies. We should respect their decision. And if they want a two-state solution, I will support them in that. But I don't see that they want that, not a majority of them. I don't see that it's practically possible. And so my view is you need a single state in which all people have equal rights, whatever their religion may or may not be, whatever their ethnicity may be, wherever they, whatever culture they may belong to. If they're citizens of the state, and the Palestinians should all be given citizenship, they should have equal rights. I don't know why anybody would find that offensive.
Yeah.
I really have a great difficulty understanding that.
Yeah, I call it a shiny object. I mean, that's what it seems like, a shiny object. The flotilla. I want to get your take on this, because I think I have a controversial point of view on this, and maybe you can wean me out of my point of view. So this is the flotilla that was taking place. It was attacked right here. There are several of these videos. The sound looks like some kind of sound bomb or some kind of sound attack. What are your thoughts on the flotilla thing? Just in general, I'm curious on your take.
Well, in the interest of full disclosure, I was a passenger on the flotilla twice.
Were you?
I was. In 2018, I joined the flotilla in Lisbon, and then between Spain and Italy, I developed acute appendicitis, and the boat had to take a detour to Algiers so that I could have an emergency appendectomy.
Yeah.
And by the way, when we arrived in the port of Algiers at 1 a.m, the emergency workers treated everybody on the vessel like heroes because they have a deep love for the Palestinian people in Algeria. But that ended up, stopping my first attempt, and then I made a second attempt, which started in the summer of 2023, before the genocide began. So that in that year, they decided to do the voyage in two parts, one in Scandinavia, and then following summer to Gaza. So I did the one from in Scandinavia, and then I went to Istanbul last year for the second part of that, and we got blocked by the Turks and also by the president of Guinea-Bissau, who withdrew the flags from the three vessels. Two of the three vessels were flagged by Guinea-Bissau, and at the 11th hour, he withdrew the flags, and they were unable to depart. So I've been involved significantly in the Freedom Flotilla. And nonetheless, I think you asked a good question, Jamal.
I only asked you to take. I didn't give an opinion. Yeah. I only asked you to take. I was curious what I could take.
And I haven't ruled out going on this. I have an opportunity to get on these vessels, and for reasons I'm not going to elaborate at this moment, I'm debating. But on the one hand, I completely understand why these people are doing this. They feel like they have to do something, and there's something truly inspiring. And I've been on that boat, and enriching in a time when you feel helpless to overcome the horrors, to make an effort, however doomed the effort may be, because of the overwhelming firepower of the Israeli military and its willingness to do anything to stop those vessels from reaching the shores of Gaza. I also think, quite apart from the sense of fulfillment that the people have on those boats, that it's important that the people of Gaza know that there are people from the Western world and other parts of the world that come from all over the world who are willing to risk their lives, as they are doing, to reach the shores of Gaza and deliver some humanitarian aid, however small it may be. But at the same time, because it's become routine for the Israelis to interdict these vessels, and we know that's exactly what they're going to do.
Yes.
You know, some people, I think, probably understandably wonder what this is accomplishing at the end of the day. So I myself have, I have tremendous admiration and respect for the organizers and the participants of the Freedom Flotilla, but I myself wonder, what is going to be accomplished at the end of the day.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings on it, because I agree with you. As a human being, you think to yourself, what can I do? And you say, well, fair enough. I'm going to risk my life. I'm going to try to forcibly do this. Even though I know it's going to be stopped, I know we may get attacked, I'm still going to do it anyway, because damn it, something needs to be done. I do get it. I've heard the argument made by some people saying it's performative. It's saying that you're getting on this boat knowing it's going to be stopped. I have mixed feelings on it. I guess my feeling is there's admiration for people that are on that boat that are willing to do it. The ironic part of it is, this is going to sound horrible, the best thing that could happen is if the Israelis actually bomb the boat. Because at that point, you're stuck with all of these different groups of people from all of these different countries that they have just ended their lives or caused some kind of harm that these countries are going to have to deal with. Now, that's assuming that the countries even care. Like the countries, maybe like the US, you have American citizens that get killed all the time by Israel. The US doesn't care at all. But do you think that that would be a pressure point? I mean, there's a reason that Israel hasn't bombed the boats, like outright just killed everybody on the boats, because I think they even realize that would be extraordinary in regards to how people around the world will take that. But is that too brutal of a thought? Like when Greta Thunberg was on the boat, imagine if they would have killed Greta Thunberg as opposed to giving her bread. What would the response have been? I forget where she's from, Norway or wherever she's from. I think there would have been outrage, if not from the government itself, but from, at the very least, the population saying, oh my God, they just murdered Greta Thunberg, whose only crime was trying to give food to starving human beings. I mean, that seems to be the biggest impact. Or you think I'm being way over my skis on this one?
I think that a lot of people who are on those vessels understand that perfectly well. They understand they may be killed, and they understand that if they are killed, that especially if they're people of world renown, as Greta is. She's known across the world, whether you like her or don't. And I have tremendous admiration for her commitment to the Palestine cause. I don't agree with her on everything. For example, her position in the Ukraine war, I don't agree with. But when it comes to Palestine, she has been absolutely fearless. And there are many other people on those boats who are tremendously committed to the Palestine cause for perfectly noble reasons. And I think they understand that. I think they understand, and they're willing to offer themselves up. I'm not saying all of them, but some of them I think are willing to offer themselves up as martyrs to the cause, as so many people in West Asia have done.
If you're on that boat, you have to kind of accept that you may be killed on that boat. Like Israel are maniacs. And apparently they were attacking some boats in Tunisia. And of course, the closer they get to it, the more those attacks are going to get. Some of them, what was that woman from, I believe she was from Spain, that was put in prison for a while. And then eventually they let her out the prison and evicted her out of the country. No, they are getting on those boats knowing that they're putting their life at risk. Big time.
I understand why some people might look at that and say, it's performative, but it's hard to argue that something's performative when you're putting your life at risk and you are. And these people, unless these people are literally completely insane, and I don't believe any of them is, they understand they're putting their lives at risk. This is not performative. We can have a debate about whether it's ultimately going to work. That's a debate to be had. But no one should doubt the seriousness of their commitment to the Palestinian cause and the fact that they're willing to lay down their lives to save the Palestinian people.
And this was something that you said last time you were here. It's like you don't know what action is going to work. Like, meaning you don't know what it's going to build upon itself. When African Americans were getting on buses or going across bridges and getting beat by cops, they didn't know as a fact that was going to galvanize a country saying, hey, this is outrageous that the cops are doing this. We need to do something different. We never know. And as a human being, you look at it and you say, I want to do something. What is that something that I could do? Is this really that different than getting on buses back in the 60s? I don't think it is. I don't think
Not at all. Not at all. I agree completely.
Dimitri, you are awesome, man. Thank you for this. I really do appreciate it.
You too, Jamal. It's always a great pleasure to talk to you, man.
Oh, and I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your trip. Also, Dimitri Lascaris, lawyer, journalist, activist from Montreal, Quebec. He hosts Reason to Resist on YouTube. Definitely check his channel out. Dimitri, enjoy the rest of your day, man. Be safe, okay?
You too. Thanks, Jamal. Bye-bye.